Chancellor Palpatine was an absolutely superb manipulator. He was deceiving everyone and seemed like an old and very nice, gentle old man. And everyone loved him. He used his popularity and his basically charm to manipulate everyone. So when it came to the Clone Wars show, the director Dave Filoni and probably George Lucas, since he was even slightly involved in the show, always wanted to make him that kind of character, and boy did they do it. Basically, Palpatine in the show was even more manipulative. He had some great schemes and he really folded all of the events into place just as he wanted to. However, after season 5, unfortunately, somewhere at the end, the voice actor for Palpatine in the first few seasons, Ian Ambercrombie, unfortunately passed away and was replaced by Tim Curry, who is famous for his roles as the evil kind of working man in Home Alone 2 in the hotel, then the Cardinal, I think, and several others, and he is a good actor. Like, I'm not a big fan of him, but he's very decent, I'd say. And of course, he replaced Ian Ambercrombie as the voice actor for the last season and a half. And now we're gonna compare the two and look at who made the better job as Palpatine, who basically was better as the old manipulator. And there will be several categories in this video, and in the end we will score up to count like the score and choose and decide who is the best Palpatine. Is it Curry or Ambercrombie? Category 1, Villainy. So who is the more evil out of the two? Who has this charm and yet very evil thing? Like Palpatine's kind of this very kind of fun to be evil and yet very menacing at the same time, just like Ian McDiarmid. But we're not talking about who's more like Ian McDiarmid, but who has the threat to him, the menace. So let's start with Ian Ambercrombie. While he certainly does provide a very loyal voice to the original Ian McDiarmid and kind of has all of his motives, when we talk about the villainy, I think we don't quite hear much of his villainous. We hear him monologuing about his evil plans in Children of the Force when he used Cad Bane to kidnap the children, and he's talking about I sense stuff like see me being at the top of the galaxy. But most of his evil lines are probably delivered when he comes to confront his previous apprentice Darth Maul. In that scene, he has a lot of evil lines like, "Remember the first and only reality of the Sith. There can only be two. And you, I know." That line. It is really evil, and yet it isn't as evil as Curry. Curry definitely knows how to make this very menacing voice. While Ian Ambercrombie has the fun to be evil, the real menace and threat goes to Curry, as he every single line he delivers as Sidious is really threatening, and especially when he talks about Sifo Dyas or about the ripple through time and space.
I sense we have a great opportunity to strike a deadly blow to the Jedi Order. But we must act swiftly.
Category number 2, Similarity. Who's more similar to the original Palpatine, Ian McDiarmid? Of course, Clive Revill was the very first Palpatine, but come on, Clive Revill isn't Palpatine. Ian McDiarmid is the one who stole the show totally. And though many people may say that no, it's not about who is more similar to the original actor, but who steals the show more, who gives a better performance. And while that is technically true, it's just very important to still be very similar to the character, because this is the character of Palpatine. So it can't be just different from Palpatine, it has to be Palpatine. And who is more like Palpatine from the two actors? Now let's start with Ian Ambercrombie. Ian Ambercrombie absolutely knows how to be the Palpatine we all know and love. Manipulative, and yet this nice grandfather kind of figure who is always like hugging you and saying, oh, it'll be good, and yet is so threatening and so sure of himself. He is perfect at providing the voice, the kind of emotions, and you just hear Palpatine when you hear Ian Ambercrombie speak. Meanwhile, he talks as Sidious. He's also pretty good at, while he's not perfect as Sidious in the Phantom Menace or Revenge of the Sith, he still has his own kind of Clone Wars thing, and it's decently similar to Palpatine in the movies. Now let's talk about Tim Curry. Now, Tim Curry, as the good Palpatine, he definitely has a bit of it, but there's just something really untrustworthy. And while there is a couple of that in the original voice, he doesn't give us the kind of Ian McDermott confidence and nice, and like he just always sounds like suspicious. Like everyone just is this guy good? Well, Ian Ambercrombie and Ian McDermott both assure us, yes, he's very nice. He's at least very kind of smiling, but Tim Curry kind of doesn't have that. He has this very suspicious voice. And as Sidious, he does a pretty good, like, evil thing, but he doesn't sound in the least like the Palpatine from the movies. What Tim Curry does get right, though, are the laughs. The laughs are perfect, like 100% like Ian McDermott. Perfect laughs. But except for that, Ian Ambercrombie is the definite winner for this category. Category 3, being the character. Of course, the most important thing for the two actors was to steal the show, to make the character their own, to associate themselves with the character as much as possible, and make the audience think that they are one and the same and cannot be separated. And I think we can talk about both of them and discuss who really stole the show and really nailed the character as their own, and like was the character in my own opinion. So starting with Ian Ambercrombie. Now, I have to say that Ian Ambercrombie absolutely fantastically did the job. Not only was he associated as the character of Palpatine, he perfectly portrayed both his manipulative, evil, and good and nice and charming sides. All of them were put together into every single scene, with him kind of having a lot of personalities and basically nailing how the character is portrayed in the movies, and being even more manipulative, evil, scheming, and just sometimes absolutely kind of you want to punch him into the face. Like there were times like that. And I think Ian Ambercrombie definitely made the character his own. We all grew to love the character through the seasons, with his voice really getting associated with the character. So when Tim Curry was brought into the show, it was quite a disbalance, as we really were used to Ian Abercrombie's voice as the definitive Palpatine. Though Tim Curry did an okay portrayal, he definitely didn't make the character his own. While he did portray him pretty well, he didn't really do it as well as Ian Abercrombie did. Though sometimes we really want to punch him in the face in the episodes, or we really just don't like him, and there are a lot of things about him. I think Tim Curry was not able to steal the show, and maybe that's just because Tim Curry really didn't have much screen time. Like, we didn't get used to Tim Curry's voice, and maybe that's the reason. We just didn't have enough time. He was really not present in much of the episode, and I really do hope that if in Clone Wars Season 7 Palpatine is voiced by Tim Curry, that Tim Curry will kind of take the character as his own in the 7th season. And if he's voiced by someone else like Ian McDermott, I'm really happy as well. But this point definitely once again goes to Ian Ambercrombie.
Such size, such power.
Now, finally, my conclusion. So, I'm not gonna last it long, like, immediately I'm gonna say it's definitely Ian Ambercrombie. Like, I'm sure Tim Curry did a very good performance, and he does steal the show in some aspects. There are several moments where he's just fun to be evil or kind of nails the Emperor side of Palpatine, but Ian Ambercrombie really grew as the character and also just provided this perfect, manipulative voice. Also a very nice and charming performance, and at the same time a threatening performance. He did so much, he combined so many emotions that Palpatine demonstrates in the movies, plus added a lot of his own, and definitely brought a lot of depth to the character and made us feel like him. So he's the winner, but Tim Curry also did a pretty good job. I mean, don't get me wrong. He really nailed the character in some aspects. He was fun to watch as Palpatine, and he did get what he got. He did a pretty good job, but Ian Ambercrombie just wins in every way. So my conclusion is that Ian Ambercrombie is the definite winner here.